Right, so we're gonna take a look into to this week's price action. Let's see how it turned out. Let's remember that last week was a crucial week in terms of data. We got the inflation data, we got jobs reports data. It was an important week for data purposes. Let's remind ourselves that the data was delayed, so we were getting, I think, from data from December. So I think that the data was, I feel like it was not, um, it did not change a lot of things. Uh, with all being said, I think that we still are ranging. I feel like the data did not necessarily uh, did not take us to another range, or did not break any sort of range. Let's remind ourselves that, for example, here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, there was not a whole lot of volume. There was not a whole lot of things going on at that point of time. It stayed relatively flat. Then Thursday started, and I think it was again it was close to 2% dip on Thursday. I think it was because of well, narrative was mainly because of what they said was because of, this AI fears sell off, tech sell off. So it was mainly motivated by that. We also need to take a look that here it looks to be here a top. It formed a resistance in a way. So here was the I've been bearish since here, I think since Tuesday, since Monday actually. I made a video uh 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago, 2 weeks ago about it. And then it dipped, and then it was bought at the end of and then the next week started, like this past week started, and there was a week of people were waiting for data, right? People were that was a week that was relatively flat, and a lot of volume was being traded. And then on Thursday, we got like this food, this fear, uncertainty, doubt. Again, sell off, and then Friday, I think the CPI, the inflation report, came out hot, and it more or less boosted, somehow, volatility was appeared on the entirety of the day. Um, when it comes to gold, gold was behaved interestingly last week. I think it also stayed, relatively flat, close to the 5,000. We've been seeing some kind of resistance lately. People have been selling both almost on par. Looks like the people that are bullish, I mean, they're selling the people that are bullish on the stock market, people that are speculating. Those are the people that are mainly selling temporarily in this time frame, this time range, are selling gold. Those are the people that are selling gold that also have positions on the stock market, people that cannot stand long drawdowns. Those are the people that are basically selling gold at this point. But I don't believe that gold will go much lower due to you can check my previous video on gold. I've detailed my explanations on why I think it's not gonna go much lower, mainly due to the financial system, to the loss of confidence in the financial system. The dollar is also taking a dive, so it's a lot of factors that's contributing to the long and steady, uh, that this long and steady climb that gold has been doing ever since ever, and has basically it has basically intensified ever since the 2000s and the 2008 crisis, and then the COVID crisis, and then we this recent spike that happened like last year is also like a continuation, but also an intensification of this very loss of loss of confidence in the system, the monetary system. Basically it's it's pricing in the fact that gold is pricing in the fact that there's we're not there's not a clear solution to to the whole debt, to the whole inflation problem. There's only postergation, there's only postponement management on inflation, a little bit here, a little bit that, but not real solution. And gold is catching up to that, is not to be fooled with that. So that's why my main thesis, that believe that gold will not in the long run will not take a dive further. You may take a dive temporarily, like in close range, mainly due because of these speculators that are holding short term, for quick profits that are like they're weak-handed. But that's my current analysis on gold. Um, that's why they've been selling off, but also we've been looking at a lot of demand here. This is how we can look at this candle that was instantly bought the day after. People have been waiting for dips ever since. So people have been buying uh, intensely. People buying pretty much the pretty day after. Gold has been a lot of demand lately. So that's how we closed the week on the traditional finance, traditional markets. It was not a real calm week. People were waiting for data. It could be a crucial week also. But then starting this week, I think Monday, well, Monday was a holiday. They didn't open, the New York Stock Exchange was not open. But we saw interesting movements today, Tuesday, uh, and so there was also a lot of volatility. People managed to sell that. Um, People were trying to sell, right, on the. You can check here. People were selling, you know, people were selling into the open. You know, people were selling all along into the open. Um, we can do a closer analysis here. Um, I should make this the Nasdaq, make it bigger than Bitcoin chart. But anyway, so people were selling um, into the open, right? I think it came down to minus 0.4%. And then uh, people started suddenly buying just a little bit before the open, right? So people bought here open. It was the open. People were trying to front run the open, and it pumped. It was pumping. Um, Nasdaq pumped, right? Bitcoin immediately dumped. I think there was a very telling, you know, price action. There was a very telling candle. Gold took a dump, you know. Um, Gold was dumping all, all night long. It took several dumps. It was, right. So you can see here that gold was tanking. right? So it tanked. You can see here it was going down, and then there was another there was a here a wick. I think wicks have been as of late very telling for gold. Um, so wicks are getting bought, and suddenly the trend reverses. You can see here, right? So all this happened before the open. So usually the signals. So they are gold and stocks are dumping in tandem. So that's what we saw. Then gold did a little bit of rise way before the open, and then um Nasdaq they started to buy again. All right, they started to buy, and you can see here a lot of a resistance you could say, and then it dumped again. All right, Bitcoin dumped again, but as we can see, there's not a whole lot of liquidity on Bitcoin. No one is trading Bitcoin at the moment. Like why should you trade Bitcoin? Like, I think it's a minus EV at this point. So, so it's very thin. Bitcoin books are very thin. There's not much activity as you can see here. There's not a whole lot of things going on in Bitcoin or crypto in general. So, so we saw this activity going on. There was not a whole lot of activity either, volatility either on stocks. I think it was to the upside. No, it wasn't. It was not a whole lot. Um, you know, it was not a whole lot of activity. I think the Nasdaq actually closed negative, which is kind of worrisome. Yeah. So basically, they were selling all night long, and they started to buy, and the people that bought here, they want to take it. Bulls want to take it further, but bears took advantage of this to short again, and they short again. Indeed, they did. Right? So bulls now try to take the market again, to take control of the market, but um, they tried to, but they couldn't. I mean, they could in a bit, but just barely, right? So like we have said, that gold has been trading more or less in par with with uh with Bitcoin. Um, so you can see here that gold did not take the previous highs, did not reach the previous highs. So this is in all textbook, this is in all in all trade analysis courses, this is classic bearish pattern. It did not take the previous highs, and it never did. You know, well, maybe you could say here that it did later on, just recently, right? But during the session, it's just barely holding. So I don't know. I mean, you should just make your guess. Regarding this. Make at the end of the day, this you gotta make your own decisions. Use what works, etc. So this is my take on it. And so yeah, I mean, I think it was very telling. I think it was very telling that it just didn't break previous highs. Um, and then it tried to go up again, right? And so yeah, I mean, it was a they were trying to buy here, but it was just, let's see what tomorrow brings. I'm still bearish. I still feel that the weekly is bearish, the monthly is bearish. So I just really don't have a lot of hope, a lot of things that's gonna change in this market. I feel that the market is overbought already, and yeah, that's my current take up to this very day. Or again, on crypto, I feel like there's not a lot of things going on. I think there's a whole resistance at the 70K level, with the top, very top being 72, and the crazy top being 73, the last stop, the last resistance. So I think people are still selling everything, above 70. I think that's a classic sell. So what I believe is going to happen in crypto, is they're going to keep selling. It's going to keep smashing on this ceiling, Maybe it's going to get one like this, maybe like this. But on the end there, we're going to see another McDonald's pattern. It's going to go even down further. I think last week uh, they also interviewed um, Sailor, and they questioned him regarding his Bitcoin position, and he said, well, I think, he said that the possibility that, what if Bitcoin retraces 90%? He says, oh, okay, well, if Bitcoin retraces 90%, if it reaches $8,000, then we might have to refinance our debt. You know, that's what he said. That's what he said. So I think what's here important, what here is, unprecedented, is that Saylor actually revealed a number. He showed his card, in a way that to the public, and we all know how the Bitcoin markets, how predatory the Bitcoin markets are. You just have to ask, trend research, or just have to ask Garrett, who just lost uh, you know, like $150 million, and the other trend research close to $1 billion. You just have to ask those guys, or you just have to ask, Garrett, that he maintained his positions on Hyperliquid, which is basically everyone can access. It's a public, decentralized exchange that everyone can have access to his liquidation price. So, and it's insane that the price actually drove there, reached there and liquidated him. So it's one of the disadvantages, one of the cons of having, of revealing your liquidation levels, that they will eventually go and try to hunt it. That's considering how scammy, how fraudulent the crypto business is. I mean, I think you can't be surprised if these things end up to being true. This predatory nature of the market. So so yeah, I mean, that's a huge problem, a huge red flag. The warning flag that Sailor finally revealed, finally confessed a number. a real number. So I wouldn't be surprised if bears or the Binance cartel go goes on and tries to sell into into this price. You know, um, wouldn't be surprised at all, to be honest. I think we might reach that level. I think, in all honesty, if the traditional market experienced a bear market or a sell-off or a temporary cool-off this year, or they suddenly start raising rates, or there's some geopolitical event, or there's something that happens, that might as well spark and take us to spark the next leg down and take us to the very promised land, to a Goblin Town again, to those very debts, to $8,000, and they might do that, if you think about it, just consider how predatory the Bitcoin crypto market has been and really is. They might take Sailor out, they might take Tumley out, they might even take ZZ out, they might even take Binance out, considering how he single-handedly damaged the whole ecosystem. I mean, just don't you, wouldn't you think that there might be people that are angry enough with him, that would like, I mean, big people, I mean, the market maker people that have been, that factually have been, that went out of business. I mean, I'm not inventing. There's people that actually, market makers that actually went out of business. Wouldn't they want to take ZZ out of business? Would it be a good idea for them? Would it be that a goal for them to take him out? Just think about it. So, so if you consider that, if give the thought a chance, it wouldn't be that outrageous to to fathom, to envision, um, a Binance bankruptcy, a Binance breakdown. You know, maybe we maybe for that event to happen, maybe we have to reach sub 5K levels. Maybe sub 1,000K, maybe 1,000 levels. For something like that to happen. I don't know, but I think that would, um, make a lot of people happy. I feel big, powerful people happy. And considering how heated things are in crypto at the moment, I wouldn't see that. I wouldn't consider that too so much of an outrageous idea. So yeah, I mean, so just gotta, all in all, just brace for impact and just take by day, and I think I think what October 10th revealed to us in the crypto sphere is that crypto is largely, and still there's a lot of scams and fraud in space already, and a lot of people lost confidence, and we just need to take it. We just need to proceed with caution, and just to be aware that that it's still largely a very unregulated space, and a lot of things can happen that shouldn't happen otherwise in crypto. So you just have to be always hedging and just kind of be defensive. And the market is still on that phase. Market's still spooked about what happened in October. I don't think that confidence will come back anytime soon in that sense. So, so right now, I think that's where we are at right now in crypto. I think we're officially in the bear market. Like I said, a couple of weeks ago, I already explained my thoughts in crypto. And, I think it's going down even further. I think at least we're gonna make Sailor anxious. We're gonna start to make Sailor uncomfortable. I think we're gonna reach that level. I think it's almost guaranteed. Um, But yeah, I mean, all in all, those are my thoughts. I mean, what CZ did, what Binance did, is just it's insane. I mean, it took a lot of people out of business, out of the market. I think it's that dude has to pay. I think there's no other way out. So those are my thoughts right now on Bitcoin and alts in general. I think it's not a good place to buy alts right now. I think the whole Binance fiasco revealed just a lot of things about the crypto industry and how just not mature yet for a serious consideration, a serious investment. It will take some time to recover from this. But yeah, those are my thoughts regarding crypto. Maybe we're going to take another some 5 minutes to talk about my thoughts on on the traditional finance on the Nasdaq. Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, I feel like regarding Nasdaq, I think we will not reach these levels again. I think we're gonna reach something like this, and then something like this, and then something like this. That's what I think will happen. Um, we might reach maybe these levels here again and go down again. So just gonna watch. It's gonna be a key level over here. If you reach this level, you just have to short and sell, right? So yeah, so that's my prediction for the remaining of the week. Uh, I think we are cooling off in the traditional finance and the traditional markets, in equities and in metals. Yeah, I mean it's going to fluctuate. It's going to have volatility, I think. But yeah, all in all, those were my thoughts regarding this week. I don't think a whole lot's going to happen. Um, but yeah, I mean it's been just tremendous low liquidity on crypto. It's been quite a nightmare. But yeah, so all in all, those were my thoughts, and see you next week.